Oh, I can move my mic. We're on Facebook world, land, universe, whatever you want to call it. Welcome, everyone.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Did it do this again? Is it showing that we're live? I'm getting an error
Yes.
message.
It
Yeah, I thought
says
I
we're
got
live.
a thing saying
I
we
was
were.
like, wait a minute. I got an error message on my screen here saying unsupported get request. Like what? But if you guys are showing that, we're live, I'll roll with it. That's fine. Technical difficulties this year, 2023. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, there
Yeah.
we are. I
Bring it
mean,
on.
Jeremy, you're gonna have to look at the chat because it's not pulling the chat up or showing. Let me go on Facebook like it normally does. So
Well, there you go.
but we're live. Another good shindig of a Saturday evening. As to my left, you might see in the back of my screen there that I'm watching the World Baseball Classic. Just
because you don't hate yourself enough yet.
Listen, I love sports in general, so I will watch shit like this.
Yeah, I will. I refuse to watch the WBC. I just think it's convoluted horseshit.
Each is to their own, but I like baseball, so I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't like baseball right now because the Yankee season is practically over and it hasn't even fucking started yet.
Why? Because Rodon's hurt already, and
He's not the only one. There's going to be like 6 guys at least who are going to be starting the season on the freaking injured list. So,
else got hurt.
let's see. Well, Montas, but that was before, and Rodon's going to start the season on the IL, and now so are Trevino, the pitcher, and Canely, and Bader, and one other person I'm forgetting. So,
Mookie
yeah,
Betts, you suck.
And I don't know what Cortez's status is because he was hurt. He had to pull out of the WBC. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, speaking of the Yankees, think you hear that trade for that Werlinski dude, or however he says his name. That kid's fucking good.
Wisniewski.
Yeah, whatever. The kid's good. I watched the 2 spring training. I don't care if it's spring training or not. I just watched him pitch, and he's the one confident son of a bitch. I will say that. He's good.
Oh yeah, and of course, the guy that the Yankees acquired in that trade, Efros, he got hurt, last year and is going to miss this year.
The whole year? I didn't see that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he had Tommy John surgery.
Oh. Okay.
So,
well, hot
Nothing like some good old Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, so I wasn't even counting him because his injury happened last year. So, but you could count him if you wanted to.
Very true. Very, very true.
So yeah, just an inauspicious start to the 2023 baseball season.
God, I'm already tired. You guys are putting me to sleep with this baseball stuff.
Wow, really?
Well, I'm not really awake anyway, so it's been a long ass day. Work on a Saturday, of course, being that we're still in the middle of tax season, and deadline number 1, of course, is this coming week. And then took a drive up to the crossings, which was a complete waste of time. And
So I know we were talking baseball, and we can continue to talk that, but I do have to make a comment about your name when we're done talking about baseball. I don't want to interrupt it yet, but I do have to make a comment about your name.
Well, I mean,
they're Darth Pat, not yours. I already know why yours is there. I'm talking about Darth Pat's.
No, I know. I like Darth Pat's because John Cena destroyed him Monday night on the mic.
That's not what I'm talking about. We'll dump into that later. Do we still have some baseball stuff to talk about?
No, we don't. We could. No, I'm just. Oh my God, Wainwright, you're a fucking old piece of shit. Okay, he's a fucking Cardinal. It's hard for me to root for somebody, that's a Cardinal, but he's wearing a USA uniform, so I'm trying my best to do that.
Yeah, see, that's another reason why I can't get behind the WBC because it's going to force me to root for people I don't want to root for. So yeah. Yeah.
I mean, when the Olympics coming around for basketball, you got to do the same thing, right?
Well, that's the Olympics. That's been around for forever.
Still the same concept. Team USA.
The WBC is younger than my oldest niece.
I digress. Move on. Let's go.
It's barely older than Jeremy's son.
We have a Grinch over here tonight. Let's continue.
So two things. So I notice your name for tonight is R.I.P. Austin Theory.
Yeah.
Is that because there's a gimmick infringement lawsuit going to possibly happen with the "I'm the Now" gimmick that he is trying to pull off that has been claimed by some independent wrestling tag team?
Well,
or is that just because of the promo that was cut between him and John Cena?
Well, just to fully answer the question, I was not aware.
With under 5 minutes, please.
I was not aware that there was an independent tag team that was trying to claim the same. That's not even a gimmick. That's just a catchphrase. Now that I know that there is an independent gimmick that's trying to claim something over that, let me just say, good luck.
Well, they already have it copyrighted. They've had it copyrighted since they started using the Now.
Okay, but that's not something that I think you can really get away with copywriting. I don't know. I don't know enough about copyright law.
Well, I think their tag team is called the Now. I think that's what it is.
Okay.
If I remember correctly.
I still, again, don't. If he's just saying "I'm the Now" as a statement, but not using the words "the Now" as part of his name in any way, shape, or form, I really don't see how that's a violation of a copyright. But again, I don't know anything about that. So no, I wasn't aware of that. And yeah, no, my name is saying that because we witnessed a live death on television on Monday night.
Very true.
And like I said in the text message, I said, I can't believe they gave us a buried alive match on free television.
I wonder what you were talking about. And I was watching Raw, on Hulu, and it was pretty bad. It's like, I don't know why they did that to Austin Theory. They just let John Cena just essentially destroy him with Theory having no comeback.
They're testing him. That's really what it comes down to.
In theory, he has to win at WrestleMania now. Like, he has to.
If Theory doesn't win the match at WrestleMania now, then then his career is over.
Yes.
That's a true RIP right there. For sure.
So yeah, they really built it up as like he's got no chance in hell, kind of, almost, and that he doesn't deserve to breathe the same air as John Cena, let alone stand in the same ring as him. So yeah, it's just I was kind of shocked that that's where they went with it too. But I'm like, all right. I mean, I'm also kind of shocked because in my view, it is kind of now obvious as to who will win that match. But of course they've done screwier things in the past, so we'll see.
Yes, they have. Would you like to talk about that crazy ass celebrity top 10 that you posted to us in the
let's
chat?
do that.
The shenanigans and the ridiculousness that I read, and my eyes started burning as I was reading that list.
Yeah, sure.
Over dramatic, I know, but it sounded very good in my head at the time, so I just went with it.
Is this the WWE top 10?
Yes, this is one of WWE's own lists.
Yes.
Oh, well, while I'm pulling it up here, speaking of trademarks and copyrights, did you hear that the AEW video game which is supposed to come out finally at the end of this month, could be delayed again?
I don't pay attention to it because I don't really care.
Yeah, so GCW, Game Changer Wrestling, whatever the hell they call themselves, is contending that they have a copyright or a trademark on the Fight Forever tagline.
If that was the case, they should have done something about it months ago. Not now.
So, since I mentioned it, let me just. Game Changer Wrestling has formally opposed AEW's trademark claim on Fight Forever. GCW held an event in January 2021 called Fight Forever, a 24-hour empty venue show designed to benefit wrestlers who'd been sidelined by the pandemic. They filed for a trademark on the name in July of that year, months after AEW filed their claim in March 2021. Earlier about 10 days ago, GCW filed for an extension asking for more time to formally oppose AEW's trademark, listing 3 reasons it felt that it needs additional time. Some people, of course, already said that they believe this is kind of like a patent troll type case, which is where a company's suing basically just to get money to be paid to go away. Joe, I don't remember if you were working at T-Mobile when the BlackBerry case was settled, but that was like a patent troll that was suing BlackBerry. And I kind of feel it ended up ultimately ruining BlackBerry because they didn't have $452 million or whatever the fuck it was to, further try to innovate and stay ahead of the curve. And once, smartphones really took off, they got left in the dust. So this could delay the game just from the status of that AEW may have to take time to respond. I don't know how quickly somebody might issue a ruling to say whether or not GCW gets more time, but I also think that if they both file trademarks and the one who was first kind of probably has the better legal standing. So it's like if they ran this show in January, but didn't wait until July to file for a trademark, and AEW had filed for a trademark in the interim, I'm like, well, you snooze, you lose, but we'll see. I just found it kind of interesting because one of the podcasts I listened to jokingly referred to the game a few weeks ago as AEW Take Forever. Because
that's true.
Because of how long it has taken to come out, which I'm sure they wanted it out in stores long before now too, but they haven't gotten it. So, but we'll see. I
did wear my Brandon Cutler shirt just for you tonight. So,
well, you just lost 17,000 places on my favorite person list.
17,000 places.
I don't even know 17,000 people. I don't know where I came up with the number 17,000, but it's all good. All right, here's the list. So WWE, in their infinite wisdom, as they like to do from time to time, did another one of their top 10 lists. Now, I didn't even bother to watch like the playlist of these moments. And I probably should have, because one of these moments I don't remember in the least, have no memory of what this person was doing there or anything. But even so, I'm like, it could have been the greatest WrestleMania moment of all time. And this person still, in my view, wouldn't belong on the list of top 10 WrestleMania celebrity appearances. So,
well, we could play it if you want. We could play the thing from WWE.
I suppose if you'd like to, that's fine with me, because that way I wouldn't have to actually read the list.
Because it's a terrible list. So
okay, if it's not going to be unanimous, we're not going to do it then. All right. So here,
it's a terrible list about celebrities. Who gives a shit?
So here, according to WWE, are the top 10 celebrities at WrestleMania. At number 10, from WrestleMania 24, Floyd Mayweather.
Ooh.
That's Joe's buddy.
Now,
fucking hate that shit.
I don't like Floyd Mayweather in the least. I didn't think much of his match with the Big Show. But the fact that this guy was in the ring wrestling and he only ranks number 10 seems a bit weird.
Okay.
But not as weird as the next item on the list. At number 9, from WrestleMania 1, Mr. T.
Who also in the ring.
Not only was he in the ring wrestling, most of that show was built around him.
Very true.
Yes, Bleacher Report did their own, and they put that match at number 1 for WrestleMania celebrity moments.
Right. I mean, WrestleMania 1 was literally built around Hulk Hogan and Mr. T. They were doing all the interviews. They went on the Richard Belzer, RIP, show and almost killed him. They hosted Saturday Night Live the day before WrestleMania. How is Mr. T not number one? So anyway, number 8 from WrestleMania.
Pity the fool.
Yeah, number 8 from WrestleMania. Yeah, that's funny. I read an article about his character in Rocky 3 last week and found myself nodding along with most of it, saying he wasn't the villain of that movie. He was the antagonist, but he wasn't a villain. So anyway, and number 8 from WrestleMania 35, the one that we all attended, Colin Jost and Michael Shea.
That was
terrible. Or Michael Shea, I'm not really sure. Of course, if you don't remember, they participated in the pre-show Battle Royal and were, I think, 2 of the last guys eliminated. But
it is a fucking pre-show Battle Royal. Pre-show. It's the pre and the show. They're not even on the main show. And you put them on the top.
And I
10
like those
plus
two,
you put them there.
Yeah, and I like those 2 guys on SNL, but it was like, it was treated almost like as an afterthought that they were.
Can we get score a run? Sorry. Go ahead.
I don't remember that those 2 guys even promoted their appearance on fucking SNL. So it was like they didn't even think it was important enough to talk about, to promote themselves.
No.
Number 7 from WrestleMania 27, Snooki. Now, again, she got in the ring, so I really don't have a problem with her being on the list. Higher than Mr. T and Floyd Mayweather? No, just no. All right. They're number 6, and this is the one that I have absolutely no memory of what she was doing or what she did. From WrestleMania 24, Kim Kardashian.
I don't remember
either.
All right, so I am going to go to the website and I'm going to pull it up.
Yeah,
I'm not going to show it. I'm just going to pull it up so I can see and I can refresh everybody's memory.
I just have zero memory again of her being there. I mean, it was 15 years ago now, but even so, I generally remember.
I don't remember what she did there.
And what's also interesting about this is that she's the second person from WrestleMania 24 on this list, because Floyd Mayweather was the first, but she won't be the last. And it's not getting worse. Girth getting chucked up about, AJ. Are you still pulling
tickling his fanny?
Yeah, I'm pulling. I gotta. So here we go.
No, I just don't want to continue the list until we get through it. So yeah.
So that's number 8. There's that one. It's number 7.
Hey, Trey Turner, don't swing at the first pitch.
Oh, here's Cameron. Okay, let me.
Is it bad? That's why I don't remember.
All right, so there's the Snooki one, number 6, Kim Kardashian. She introduced the Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania.
Wow.
So she introduced a match and she's that high on the fucking list?
And then Mr. Kennedy shows up during her.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
That's why we don't remember, because it was not important.
Not only was that not important, that was stupid.
So we're putting people higher on the list who really had zero relevance of doing anything specific.
No, the best part of that was Mr. Kennedy coming in.
Yeah.
The best part of that
list.
So
she did a backstage, not even interview, announced the Money in the Bank match at WrestleMania where Mr. Kennedy was going for his second Money in the Bank.
And what I guess is also kind of interesting about that is, for the most part, when they do these lists, like if it features like an actual performer, they'll make sure that they limit it to people who are still on the active roster or people who are still in fairly good standing with the company. I wouldn't classify Mr. Kennedy as either of those.
No.
He's certainly not on the active roster, and it's like he's never found his way back to the company since he was fired. So
No, he couldn't stay healthy in TNA.
Well, it wasn't just that. It was, I think that they took the wellness policy violation right as they were about to give him a massive push as a pretty big, black eye. So
yeah.
But anyway, all right then. So moving on to the top 5 now of this list, and no, it doesn't necessarily get better. Number 5 from WrestleMania 11, Lawrence Taylor.
Once again, that should be higher.
In all likelihood, because, hey, say what you will, and it kind of does speak more to the fact of how fairly weak their roster was in 1995. But Lawrence Taylor was in the main event of WrestleMania.
It is also the worst main event ever at WrestleMania. So,
really? I mean, because you could technically say that the main event of WrestleMania 9 was the Hulk Hogan Yokozuna match. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah.
The Miz was once in the WrestleMania main event. Now, I'm sorry, that's the Cornette and me getting out. He hates Miz, so I've never really understood it. I'm like, Miz has been one of the better, most consistent heels the company's ever had. So, anyway, number 4, the third and final person from WrestleMania 24. Yo, this Snoop D-O double jizzle.
What?
Yeah, don't you remember he sang a song, and then when the WrestleMania women's competitors came out, I think, I believe, I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure that's what he did.
Yeah, no, I remember.
He shouldn't be that high either.
Of course he shouldn't, but he's in the Hall of Fame.
But it's Snoop D-O double G.
Oh, so anyway, at number 3 from WrestleMania 38, headbang on desk, Johnny Knoxville. Nothing against Johnny Knoxville, even though I think the guy's an idiot and should probably have been killed about 18 times over in his life because of himself, not because I hate him, because he's done stupid things. But everything that he was involved in last year between his Royal Rumble appearance and his WrestleMania appearance was a fucking abomination.
I know, and there's two sides of that coin. All of us, I thought that match was a train wreck, but there are people like our other friend Pat loved that match and thought it was fantastic.
Yeah. And as I texted you guys also this little tidbit that I found, it was and this comes from a group that I generally find to be one of the better wrestling channels out there, What Culture Wrestling. They had a poll on YouTube this week about picking the best WrestleMania celebrity match, and they only gave you 4 choices. One was Big Show Floyd Mayweather. One was the Sami Zayn Johnny Knoxville match from last year. One was this match involving Snooki, I think. And one was a match we're yet to talk about. And Sami Zayn Johnny Knoxville had 50% of the vote of a 4-choice option. So
I would have voted for the one we have yet to talk about. So
yes, which is the one I did vote for. But so to get 50% out of 4 choices pretty much means that you're running away with the win. And I just said, how in the fuck can you think that was the best match unless you've got blinders on of Sammy's the best thing on the show right now? Because I don't see how else you could pick that. Again, if it had ended up being if it had ended up just being some match between Sami Zayn and Johnny Knoxville without all the other jackass jackoffs, there we go.
It was a bunch of stunts. It wasn't really a match.
What it was.
It was not a match. It was pathetic.
Those are the same people that think that the Undertaker Mankind was the greatest match ever too, when that was just 3 big stunts and that wasn't even a match either. It's the same kind of people that would say that kind of shit about that match too.
Yeah, I mean I like watching that match for the spectacle that it ended up being, but yeah, to call it a match is it was a stunt show, and that's the way it ended up having to be after he took the fucking bump. So I mean, yeah. So
I mean, I watched the match live, and I'm not saying it wasn't fun to watch, and I'm not saying it's not it wasn't really a match. It was a bunch of stunts.
Yeah, exactly. So, what culture readers do better? Anyway, number 2 from WrestleMania 14. No, not Pete Rose, who is conspicuously absent from this list for his 3 consecutive WrestleMania appearances where Kane was kicking his ass. But number 2 from WrestleMania 14, Mike Tyson. And again, I don't really have much problem with Mike Tyson being ranked this high because, again, a lot of that show was sold on him being there.
Correct.
He could have been 1.
He could have been 1. I have no problems with him being number 2, quite frankly. I think I would have put him number 2 behind Mr. T in my own personal ranking. So if I actually had to rank WrestleMania celebrity appearances, which thank God I don't because that would be just a waste of time. Anyway, and number 1 from WrestleMania 37, Bugs Bunny. I mean, Bad Bunny. No,
he did good, though. He did good.
At that point, he had the best in-ring showing of a celebrity, but then Pat McAfee came along, and Logan Paul is going to jump all of them after his match this year with Seth Rollins. Logan Paul is going to be number 1 on the list, probably, as far as in-ring performance.
Hey, AJ, I'm going to ask for you to put a sock on your hand and make it like a puppet. So when your hand is up there talking,
I was going to say we demand a Mr. Socko appearance.
What pay-per-view was it with the Miz and Logan Paul tagged?
Was it WrestleMania?
Yeah, that was last year.
Yeah, last year, right? Last year's WrestleMania, and then he turned on him.
Yeah,
I thought so. So why isn't he on this list?
Because he's going to be on it. I'm telling you, he's going to be on it after this year, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So,
but still, though, that's
Cage Side Cage Side did one just like WWE. Theirs is definitely better. They have 10 Pete Rose, WrestleMania 14, 15, and 2000. That's number 10. Number 9 is the Butterbean Brawl for All final on WrestleMania 15.
Yeah. Okay.
Number 8 is the William Refrigerator Perry. That was the
WrestleMania 2.
Yeah, WrestleMania 2 Battle Royal.
Everybody always picks him out, even though there was like 8 other NFL guys in that damn thing. It's like I can't even remember what Perry did that makes everybody remember his appearance. Did he eliminate a wrestler? I don't even remember.
I think it was just how many people had to
Big John Studd too. I think.
Okay. I think it was about how many people had to pick him up to eliminate him. And then 7 was Shaq at WrestleMania 32 against the Big Show.
That was stupid. So
yeah, it was dumb. WrestleMania 6 with number 6 was Snooki, WrestleMania 27.
She has no business being on either list.
Floyd Mayweather, WrestleMania 24 against the Big Show.
Okay.
This one I don't get either. Number 4, Maria Menounos. I said that wrong. WrestleMania 28.
She got in the ring. So
yeah.
And Russell.
Number 3, Lawrence Taylor against Bam Bam, WrestleMania 11. Number 2, Mike Tyson, WrestleMania 14. And number 1, of course, Mr. T, WrestleMania.
So that's interesting. They didn't even have Bad Bunny on the list.
Yeah, Bad Bunny.
No. They didn't have Bad Bunny on the list. They could remove the Snooki thing and put Bad Bunny in there.
Whether you like him or not, Bad Bunny should probably be in the top 3.
Yeah, I don't like him. I was annoyed that they did. I really, 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 when it comes to WrestleMania, I detest the damn celebrity matches. I mean, Logan Paul is going to be fine, but Logan Paul is an actual athlete. Like, he's an athlete first. He's a YouTube celebrity. He's not in my book, he's not a true celebrity. He's been famous because of YouTube. YouTube fame is not the same as being on TV shows, making movies, all these other things that these other people have done.
The only thing about Bad Bunny, though, is he actually looked like he put the work in and he cared, and he wasn't just like treating it as a joke.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I agree.
I almost wonder if that list may have been, if that maybe is an old list that maybe was put together before last year's WrestleMania. There's always that possibility.
Yeah, let me see.
He's going to host Backlash in Puerto Rico in 2 months.
Yeah. So on
2021, April 2021.
Well, yeah. So it was before last year then.
Yeah. So it was, but Bad Bunny wasn't eligible at that point then. So.
Right. So anyway, I mean, like the Cage Side Seats article listing out the WWE top 10, they put this, comment in there about, hey, what do you know? Bad Bunny happens to top the list at the same time when WWE announced he's returning in May for Backlash in Puerto Rico. It's funny how that works, huh?
Oh man, gotta love I gotta love when WWE creates their list, because I have yet, since we've been going over these lists as different events pop up and stuff like that, I have yet to be like, wow, that's a really good list. All of them are like, oh my god, what the hell are we talking about here?
I gotta be honest. I hope they have a few more lists for us between now and WrestleMania.
Oh my god, we gotta talk about them all, especially if they have one for WrestleMania on WrestleMania.
I watched. It might not have been What Culture. I think a lot of times I get stuck watching the Cultaholic guy, but I watched one and it was like the 10, based on like internet voting and stuff. It was like the 10 highest rated matches in WWE history, and it was like Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker was like number 5 from WrestleMania. I'm like, what? Like, there was like 4 NXT matches on the list, and only one of them would have been one I would have picked of the NXT matches. I was like, what the hell is this list? So,
wow,
craziness.
I don't know how Michaels and Undertaker can't be one. That's probably the best WWE match I've seen. Like, if somebody sat me down and said, tell me the best WWE match of all time, I'm probably going to take Michaels Undertaker, or maybe Steamboat Savage. That would probably be the first 2 things out of my mouth. So
yeah, it's pretty hard to top those, because from top to bottom, beginning to end, those matches were well put together. They were well executed. Even if there was a mess up of any type, it was so subtle that you didn't really take notice to it, and it didn't take away from the match. Because wasn't one, which Shawn Michaels was it? The Undertaker jumped over the rope.
The ones where he fell over the top rope. Like, the first one was the one where he like botched the jumping over the ropes.
Yeah, he got all his feet caught at the very end and fucking almost head dived and killed himself. Yeah. So.
Yeah, where the plant cameraman played by Sim Snuka didn't catch him very well, so he got fired for it.
And like, Pat actually asked, or me, when I was talking to Pat the other day, we were talking about Iron Man matches because of the MJF Danielson one last weekend, and it was really good. But all these people were like, "Oh my god, this was the best Iron Man match ever," and I'm like, "No, it wasn't. It was like 3rd best at best. There's at least 2 I would put before that without hesitation." But it's new, and everybody just saw it, so now that's the one that. If 10 years from now people still say that one belongs on the list, that's different to me. But it was really good. And the AEW pay-per-view was actually better last weekend than I thought it was going to be, but it wasn't the best Iron Man. People are like, oh, this is the best AEW pay-per-view ever. I'm like, I don't even know what's in my top 5.
Yeah. Cage Side Seats had an article about that today, comparing the ratings of the matches from their readers versus like what Meltzer gave and what one other outlet gave, and there was a pretty big disconnect from both.
The first all out I went to with Adam Cole and Danielson showing up at the end, that's the best pay-per-view. One of the best pay-per-views I've ever seen in any wrestling company. So, like, to me, that was the best AEW pay-per-view of all time. Like, that easily wins that award for me, at least. So, I saw Meltzer's. I was surprised he gave the violence match 5 stars. That surprised me. So
in a way, I'm both surprised and not surprised when I saw that earlier today, because he's obviously enamored of Moxley these days, because Mox is winning all the fucking awards that he gives out.
He didn't give the Elite and House of Black 5 stars, though, and that match was the second best match I saw that night. So I was surprised that he didn't give that match 5 stars, because I thought that match was worthy. So, like I said, the violence match isn't for everybody. The violence match was good if you like watching lots of blood and watch people throw bricks at each other and wrap themselves in barbed wire. But if you don't like that kind of stuff, that's not my kind of match, really.
What the hell was I gonna say? I'll be the Uncle Dave conspiratorial guy here. he intentionally knocked a little bit off the Elite match just so he couldn't be accused of favoring the Elite.
Okay, what did he give it 4 3/4 then?
I think he gave it 4 3/4. Yeah, I think that's what I saw.
And that's fine. If he wants to do that, he does have a reputation and stuff. I don't care. If a match is good, it's good. I don't care who's in it. If Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch went out and tore the joint down, I'd give it 5 stars if it was worthy. So,
well, good luck on that one. I don't think we're going to see that from Bianca Belair anytime soon or ever.
That is an example of people I absolutely fucking hate. That if they have a good match, I'd give them credit. So
no, I know.
Just to run through it real quick. I mean, I don't know how much context this has for everybody because outside of AJ, I don't know if either of you guys watched the pay-per-view. I did not. Meltzer gave Danielson MJF 5 3/4.
Whatever. 5 stars. I know, Pat. I don't necessarily think we need more than 5 stars. It's a Meltzer thing, so whatever.
You don't need more than 5 stars. I mean,
all right, move past it. Let's go.
Move past
going.
It's like nobody invented giving movies or albums better than 5 stars just to say this album's great, but it's the greatest of the greatest of the great. So anyway, I'm giving this in order of how he rated them, not like the match order. Hangman Page, Plumber Moxley. Hangman Page, John Moxley. He gave that 5 stars. House of Black versus the Elite.
He gave that match 5 stars. Really?
Yes.
Wow.
House of Black versus the Elite, 4 3/4. Jungle Boy, Christian Cage, and Chris Jericho, Ricky Starks both got 4 stars.
Okay, I agree with that.
Briscoe and the Lucha Bros against the Trust Busters, that's what they call those guys, got 3.5. The Fatal 4-way, or whatever you want to call it, 4-way tag title match got 3 1/4. The women triple threat, Jamie Hayter, Saraya, Ruby Soho got 3, and Wardlow, Samoa Joe got 2 1/4.
That was the worst match, Samoa Joe and Wardlow. So those,
that seemed to be the consensus from, like I said, like the cage side.
Wardlow got the win, and then he got the lose right away.
I would put the women's match ahead of the tag team train wreck, but that's the only thing I would really change. Otherwise, I don't think the violence match should have been 5 stars, but I did think Jericho and Starks and Jungle Boy and Christian were both pretty good matches too. So.
But it's got the violence in it, so it's got to be at least a 4-star.
The cage side seats readers and the average ratings from Cage Match, which is another site, agree with you in that they both rated the women's match higher than the tag title match.
So it was a B+, B- pay-per-view with terrible build. So despite the fact that they've not built some of their pay-per-views, AEW tends to still deliver. They haven't had a bad pay-per-view in like 2 years. So they tend to deliver on pay-per-views. They may not deliver on the show every week, and they may have bad storytelling, but their pay-per-views are substantially better than WWE's. WWE's sometimes the weekly show and the storytelling is better, but WWE's pay-per-views are not very good usually compared to AEW. So
that's because, as we know, with WWE, they're worried more about the showmanship of it than the actual matches of it. So as long as the showmanship comes off cool and nice, if the match is
you know what?
then they're good with it.
There's I don't know if I maybe Joe or Jay, WrestleMania this year, there are matches on the WrestleMania card. There are some matches on the WrestleMania card this year that are potential to be like that. This could be a decent WrestleMania. There's more positives than negative on the card right now. Like like Cody and Roman's going to be good. The Usos and Sammy and Kevin's going to be good. Logan and Seth is going to be good. Charlotte and Rhea is going to be good. Austin Theory and Cena is going to. So those 5 matches right there are all probably going to be really good matches. But then you have Brock Lesnar versus Omos.
I was going to say the Brock Omos and Lashley Bray matches are the only ones right now that are making me cringe.
So
correct. I agree.
It all makes me cringe.
And Dominic is so good at being a dick that the Dominic Ray match is going to be entertaining just because Dominic keeps calling his dad a deadbeat and stuff. So it's hilarious. Like how
I know he is really trying to make himself look like Eddie Guerrero. I mean, could he embody Eddie Guerrero anymore in his appearance?
I was really surprised that they announced Rey Mysterio last night instead of Batista for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
that's what I wanted to mention too.
When I saw that, I was very surprised.
Which means we're not getting Batista.
Well, that's what it makes me think. So it makes me think we're either not getting Batista or that they're going to make too much of a story of Ray being inducted because he's obviously going to fight Dominic. I know they still haven't made it official, right. But it's fairly obvious.
Something will happen at the award at the WrestleMania at the Hall of Fame induction where Dominic comes up and disrupts his dad's speech.
Sure.
Man, if they do that, I'm gonna be honest. That's gonna ruin it for me because that's a fucking joke.
That's the thing too.
I'm putting money on it.
It probably happened.
I don't
really
like
bet in Vegas right now.
Yeah, I don't like that they're going to do that. I mean, it's like somebody can say, "Oh, well, they inducted Ric Flair while he was active, and they made reference to his match the next day and everything." It's like, yeah, but Shawn Michaels didn't come out on stage and super kick him.
Maybe they won't. But when Ray was doing his crap talk last night, I'm like, Dominic, please come out and make this better. And 5 seconds later, Dominic came out and made it way better. So
what's also interesting is I don't know if this has been made official by WWE, but I saw it in a couple places today. Apparently Conan is going to induct Ray.
Yes.
Which is very interesting for a few reasons. The one mostly being that Conan's really never worked for WWE outside of initially being the guy that was given the Max Moon gimmick and then rightly taking a look at the Max Moon gimmick and saying, I better get the fuck out of here before this weighs me down.
I saw Muda going, that Muda might be going into the WWE Hall. I saw that today.
Well,
yeah, I saw that. I read that too.
Cage Side Seats on their rumor article today mentioned Zero News heard that some other names being discussed for the Hall of Fame include Batista, William Regal, Michelle McCool, Lex Luger, Demolition, IRS, and Lillian Garcia, which is a kind of an interesting name, list of names for a few reasons. I mean, we know about why they've been reluctant to induct Luger. We know why they've been reluctant to induct Demolition. Inducting Regal this year would seem like a direct slap in the face to AEW, especially because I thought as part of the deal of AEW letting Regal
be on TV this year
was that Regal couldn't be on TV. I mean, it's like the Hall of Fame not considered TV in the sense of storylines and the show and everything. I mean, so either way though, it still feels like that they're kind of needling AEW if they were to induct Regal this year. So we'll have to wait and see. Guys, I need to take care of some business, so I will be back in a few minutes.
Okay.
It's not that I have to go do something. I got a phone call that I have to return. So
yes, sir.
Now, how do I get out of this without still being on it?
You can just hit mute.
I don't want to do that.
Or
stick with us while we have some technical difficulties.
I guess he's just going to join us when he's done.
He'll be back.
Talking to his blow-up doll on the phone.
Hey, you might have a visitor later tonight and just want to make sure their arrangements are spot on. Never know.
Oh, man.
What's the score, Joe?
Bottom of the fourth, one out. USA is up 2-1. They have a man up first and second. And who's up to bat? Arenado. Mike Trout actually had a stolen base. He stole second base, and he looked pretty decent doing it too. So
don't go injuring yourself during this.
I know
matchup.
Do you know what I find? I don't know. I find that interesting this year with WWE's like main roster pay-per-views is that they haven't announced Survivor Series yet, but all the other main roster shows are like all outside the US.
You're right.
With the exception of WrestleMania WrestleMania. Yeah,
field.
SummerSlam is in Detroit. WrestleMania is in California, and then Royal Rumble was in San Antonio, Texas. I mean, Elimination Chamber was in Montreal.
That one's in Backlash is going to be in Puerto Rico.
Backlash in Puerto Rico, and then the other one, Money in the Bank, is in London.
Yes, and King and Queen of the Ring is in Jeddah.
Yeah, we have 2 fucking Saudi pay-per-views. Yeah, so that one, King and the Queen, is in May.
Well, yeah, it's the same weekend as Double or Nothing. It's like the same weekend as the AEW pay-per-view.
Yeah, so the King and the Queen is Saturday night, and I think the other one's Sunday night. And then they have another Saudi pay-per-view in November. Yeah. So all their main roster pay-per-views are like all over out of the country. It's interesting. I'm interested to see where Survivor Series is going to be in November.
So I've been watching this interesting kind of like docu-series, so to say, on Netflix. It's called Full Swing. It's about the golf. I think it was shot last year. And it's just interesting because you talk about the pay-per-views that are going to be in Saudi Arabia. One of the things that comes up, like I think the 3rd or 4th episode, is they start talking about the Live Tour, which is the Saudi Arabia-backed golf tour. And it's so interesting to me. Like, some of the guys look at it like this, and I think this is a good way to look at it. They when it comes down to it, some of the golfers were like, listen, as they're being interviewed, because they're getting interviewed throughout this thing, and not just like the interviews from mass media, they're talking on this show behind the scenes. Who wouldn't, when they look at it finally, they're like, who wouldn't want to work less, get paid more, doing something that they love?
The sport.
Yeah. And that to me is the interesting thing. A lot of these guys do not agree, and they've come out and said, they don't agree with this, that, and the other thing that happens over there, but they're playing a sport. Like, they're not there to be political ambassadors for the good of mankind. Like, they're there to play golf. And it's not like they're going over to Saudi Arabia and playing golf there and using, doing things over there that they shouldn't be doing. They're playing in all these established countries where golf has always been and everything. And, one guy even said, he's like, I played on the Japanese tour. I played on, the England tour. I played on a British tour, not the England tour, the British tour. He's like played on 6 different types of tours. Nobody ever said a thing. But it's such it's such a big thing for the Saudi.
Yeah, because it's backed by them. It's
right.
Backed and money driven by them, but they, it's just like the PGA Tour. They, Schwarber did something good.
Did he hit a bomb?
Schwarber do good? He hit a bomb.
Schwarber bomb. Schwarber bomb.
Schwarber he had a 1-2 count. He just launched one to right center field.
Nice.
A 3-run bomb. I still like Schwarber, even though he's not on my team anymore. Good job, Schwarber.
Yeah, I like when he actually hits the ball and doesn't go freaking overs. But yeah, no. Yeah. I get it. The money that's backing. It's the same reason why we make fun of the, we call them the blood money pay-per-views when they go over to Saudi and do those, pay-per-views over there.
Same concept.
It's the same concept, and I get it. But once again, these guys that choose to go over there, and the girls that, the ladies that choose to go over there are making a choice to say, hey, I want to participate in this pay-per-view, for whatever reason. They're not looking at, the political stuff behind it. They're not doing this. The ones that do, they don't go. And WWE's not fining them for it. The PGA went a step further and said anybody who participated in the Live Tour is not, they're kicked out of the PGA Tour. Like, they can't participate in the PGA. PGA got so freaking hell-bent on it and so pissed off about it. It's like, really? Like, so you got to make it like, and I don't want to say they made it a political thing, but it's almost like they wanted to take a political stance on these guys and say, you're doing this, so we can't do it. Once again, I get it. The people that back it, that what goes on in their country is not viewed by most people. I'll say this: it's not viewed by anybody outside of their country as a good thing.
No,
but I don't know. It's interesting to me how playing a sport, and it happens here in the United States too, because of the things that happen that get brought to light. Different things that get brought to light. Especially like the Black Lives Matter movement and police brutality and stuff like that. You get a lot of politicized basketball and football and all types of athletes over here. It's just so interesting.
No, absolutely.
Oh man. Ugh. So NFL is getting interesting because free agency is going to open up next week, as we talk on Saturday. And it's gonna. I don't know what's gonna happen to the Eagles. Like, the one thing that Howie's very good at is making free agency moves, but he always waits to like the last minute to get some of these guys in these free agency moves for the new season. So it's always like Harry, as an Eagles fan, waiting for them to do something.
Yeah. I had to take in that trade that we did yesterday and really look at it to see if it was worth what we got at the end. Which
I'm gonna go buy.
All right,
sure.
Peace out, brother.
Okay, bye guys.
Have a good night.
All right, now the show's getting good. We got those two jabronis off the air.
Oh, it's just me and you, buddy. You don't have to worry about any shenanigans. God, it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. No, I just yeah, I was like looking at the trade and I'm like, is this worth it? And I'm like, is it not? And I'm like, you know what? Living in North Carolina, I see like up there in Pennsylvania, you guys every day get fucking you get the Eagles games all the time on Fox. So down here we get the Carolina Panther games all the time. So I've seen a lot of DJ Moore. And your best friend Shane. Yes, Shane. Yes. Well, I'll let you have that one for now, Shane. So he's a good wide receiver, and I kind of see where some people were upset that we didn't get like a 2025 first round pick or their second round pick, and we got like, I'm just going to use the word hand-me-down second round pick from like the 49ers for like a trade or some shit that they did with them. But at the end of the day, like, you're getting a 25-year-old wide receiver who's been in the league for 5 years, had 3,000 yard years, and has been productive with shitty quarterbacks. So, I'll take it. Panther shopping. Yeah. And you know what? I did read that. Shane's right. It's funny. So they want to get this number one quarterback, but then on the side and the back burner, they're like, we just gave up these draft picks and a wide receiver. Maybe we could trade with like the Colts or Houston and get some picks from them. I figured, I had a feeling that Carolina was going to do some shit like that. But listen, we get the number 9 pick. Yes, Shane, you did send that to me, but I also did see it from others as well. Trying to take credit for shit. He always does this. Always trying to take credit. But I'm fine with the trade we made, to be honest. I think DJ Moore is going to play very well for us. So I'm fine with it. And the only thing that like we're going to have Carolina's going to suck ass next year. And we'll be at least better than we were this past year. So we're going to get another top 10 pick. And then we're going to have our pick wherever that lands, hopefully middle or towards the back of the draft, whatever. That's what I'm hoping for. But still, and we're going to have 2 second rounders next year too. So I'm totally fine with it. Oh, no. Pat is trying to re-enter. He's trying to re-enter.
I let him back.
Oh, you just let him.
I'm too nice.
Oh man!
I mean, the show's going to go downhill from here, but that's what it is. So as far as the Eagles, the only thing the Eagles have done so far that I've heard is that they re-signed Brandon Graham for a lot less money. He took a big pay cut. Brandon Graham did to stay on the roster. So That's cool, which is good because they were, the big talk was, okay, Brandon Graham is a free agent. Do they keep him? Do they let him go? They need cap room to replace some of the pieces that they're going to definitely lose. So the fact that he took less money was pretty cool. And he's not the first Eagle to do that. Lane Johnson did it a couple years ago. He restructured his contract that he'd have less money and spread it out a little bit further and whatnot. So
I am always of the opinion.
Yes, give it to us.
Unless these guys are worried that they would get cut and would have difficulty finding employment elsewhere for whatever reason, whether it's like injury history, age, what have you, players should not bend over backwards for their teams and take pay cuts just so they can sign other players. If they sign guys, these questions, knowing what the cap numbers would be and everything, it's like, but of course that's not also really what happens. It's really more along the way that they it's not straight pay cuts. It's usually that they convert stuff into like different type of money, so it counts against the cap differently. But again, still, I wouldn't be bending over backwards saying, oh sure, I'll gladly take less money myself so you can give it to him.
Well, I think with Brandon Graham, after coming back from the injury that he had 2 years ago, he became a role player on the defense. He was not the first person in at the edge rusher. He was a second, he was coming in to relieve guys. He was not making the impact that he did years ago. He's kind of on the back end of his career, to be honest. So the fact that he probably looked at himself, said, how many years do I have left? Do I want to finish with the team that I started with? And if I do leave, can I even get the money that I think I'm worth? And I really think he doesn't think he can get the money that he might believe that he could get, if he tried to shop around. And that's just because he's not, his last year was not as productive as it needed to be in order to entitle him to other team, in other teams' eyes, entitle him to a bigger paycheck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he fits my thing about
he fits your example
to find employment and everything. But I always just hate it when the sports media praises guys for taking pay cuts so the team can re-sign other players or sign other players, because it's like, dude, at some point you got to be looking out for yourself, especially when you're in a career that has such a finite time to earn,
Yeah.
And obviously
it's
also
one thing if you've got guaranteed money on the back end that outweighs your contract, your contractual money. That's different. So Shane, this is kind of funny. So Shane's writing in our chat and he's being a jackass right now.
Well,
he said Shane is best at trolling. That's what he likes to do.
He's entitled to that. So
he said the only thing the Eagles have done is somehow make their defense angry enough to want to leave, which is true. A lot of their defense. Well, that's the problem. See, a lot of their defensive players were on short-term contracts because that's how he did. He filled the need with short-term contracts, 1 or 2 year contracts, and those guys are gone. Darius Slade, he's another one that's up for, he's got trade possibility.
I was gonna say I saw something about the possibility of him being traded. Yeah.
Darius Slay, Barry. Why can't I think of his last name? Brad Barry. He's another one.
James Bradbury. Yeah.
Brad Barry's another one. Trying to think. Fletcher Cox is another one that's could be traded. And I'm okay if they get rid of Fletcher Cox because he's not what he used to be. When they gave him that big-ass contract, I was like, why? Because he was already starting to hit the back end of his career. But they were like, oh, he did so good that year. And then since then, he really hasn't really done much. He didn't do very good at plugging holes like he's supposed to. He doesn't really get into the backfield anymore. So, there's a lot of defensive players on the Eagles that I don't know if they want to be traded, but they are definitely on that trading block, that trading area, just because free agency allows them to do that.
So Pat, what do you think of the contract that your quarterback is about to get or is getting?
I have
Daniel Jones.
I have thoughts.
Big money.
My first thought is I'm happy because now they don't have to go out and play the quarterback game.
That is true.
I mean, that's the thing that I think people are slightly overlooking in this whole thing is that, he obviously had his best season and everything, but The Giants are picking 25th, so they're in no position to take any of the top quarterbacks of this year's draft. The pickings that are going to be out there are any of them better than Daniel Jones?
What, you didn't want Derek Carr?
He'd be the only one that conceivably I could say would be better than Daniel Jones at this point. I don't know about
definitely make the games more exciting. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing though.
Yeah. Let me just say this when I'm saying better than Daniel Jones, I'm not counting Lamar or Aaron Rodgers in this discussion for various reasons, because they would cost way too much for the Giants to trade for either of them. And I definitely wouldn't want them to trade for Aaron Rodgers anyway, considering his age and everything. And frankly, I wouldn't want them to trade for Lamar, considering the injury concerns with him. So, but so it's like the guys who realistically they could have signed, Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo, Ryan Tannehill, or, something like that. It's like,
you don't want Tannehill.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So it's like, I don't really see there was any real better option than Jones out there. Is the money ridiculous sounding? Well, yes, but it sounds like that's basically the market for quarterbacks right now. Look at the deal.
I don't think it was as bad as when I looked at the contract, I thought it was decent. I don't think it was they overextended by any means, maybe a tad bit, but overall, I think it was pretty fair, to be honest.
Well, yeah. So here's
the cap ramifications are interesting too. But Jeremy, go ahead.
So I think the big thing that people are making us think about is there's a lot of other quarterbacks that are up for contract renegotiations, and Daniel Jones is the first one to, have his contract renewed and agree to terms and stuff like that. And they're kind of using this as the standard because Daniel Jones, when you look at the elites of the NFL right now, is not considered an elite quarterback by any means.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's going to get the kind of contract that he was requesting, then the quarterbacks that are considered some of the elite ones or have been having better seasons than he has, what kind of contracts does they get? Because he's going to be right now, he is like the gold standard for, okay, where can my contract be for my for my renegotiation and that. And I saw an interesting kind of stat, and I thought it was kind of crazy. Daniel Jones's touchdowns based on games played, he's thrown less touchdowns than games played in his last 3 or 4 seasons, which is kind of crazy stat because that's not the very norm for most quarterbacks. But when you think about just last season, we'll just take last season, he played a complete season and they made the playoffs without him having to throw 40 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells you something about his ability to manage a game as a quarterback and make progress, and having the coach that knows what his quarterback can do and is going to try and bring him along, unlike his previous other coaches were able to do.
And I think too, yes, Shane, Duke, they won the ACC title for the 22nd time. Yes. Dear Pat is a Carolina fan, so he's going to tell you to rotate on that. But anywho,
I would tell you that. I just, for full disclosure, I would tell you that even if I wasn't a Carolina fan.
I know. I think Cleveland really fucked the whole quarterback market with that ridiculous trade they did for Deshaun Watson and the fucking contract they gave that guy. Hence why Lamar Jackson wants what he wants, and it's deserved. I get it. I get it. I get what he wants. He's accomplished way more than Deshaun Jackson got, and Deshaun Jackson's getting paid elite quarterback money for really nothing for a desperate Cleveland team who has been hungry for a quarterback for fucking decades at this point. So I think they definitely had fucked the quarterback market in regards to that. And I feel bad because Lamar is a very good quarterback. But I always kind of think too, Baltimore, it's weird. Baltimore seems very stingy with money when it comes to offensive players, but they'll give their fucking defensive players fucking a boatload of money. But the offensive guys are kind of I'm not really 100% sure if we want to, invest in you we do in our defense, which is kind of odd. So I'm a little bit that if I was a Baltimore fan,
that's why Joe Flacco has a ring. Because they paid their defense enough money to keep the offense off the field.
I had to say that was probably one of Joe Flacco's best, seasons ever. He managed that team very well. But at the same point, that defense was You had a good defense. So they helped. But yes, Shay, I'll give you a decent credit, 22. Okay. We'll see where they land tomorrow on the bracket. We'll go from there. But anyway.
But yeah, so regarding Jones too, there's every reason to think that he can still get better. He's only 25. He finally had, believe it or not, decent coaching.
That's the other thing.
He had Barkley at 100%, really.
Yep.
And let's also now look at what he still didn't have. He still didn't have an offensive line that was worth 4 guys, basically. The Giants had one really good offensive lineman in Andrew Thomas, and the rest of the line was an adventure still. Now, hopefully that improves. Hopefully Evan Neal takes strides in his second year at right tackle. Hopefully they improve the interior of the line in the offseason here. That's really, in my view, got to be one of their top priorities. He still didn't really have anything at wide receiver or tight end. So you're talking about, like his throwing numbers aren't that great. And yeah, but again, they were using like scrap heap guys. They picked Isaiah Hodgins up off the scrap heap from Buffalo, since, Shane and Dave will know all these Buffalo guys. And they made something out of him, but it's like they didn't have any kind of game-breaking wide receiver. Kenny Golladay was one of the worst free agent signings ever.
So, and that leads me to a question. You talk about Baltimore being stingy. Where the hell is New York dumping their money into their personnel? Because I couldn't tell you. Based on the fact that I know they don't have anybody on the offensive side besides Saquon.
Well, they have a lot of cap room right now. They didn't have a lot of cap room prior to last season, because of a lot of bad deals that Gettleman had signed.
And all the dead cap money is really what hurts a lot of teams too, because they eat that shit for several years, depending on the contract setup.
And the Giants are still going to have some dead cap money because they're obviously going to cut Kenny Golladay. It's just a matter of when and with what designation to see how much dead money they take on that, how much they save. They need to do something with Leonard Williams, because he has an astronomical cap hit number this year, which I'm going to go talk about with Jones in a second. So they need to kind of extend him, especially because I think they still want to do a long-term deal with Barkley. They want to do a long-term deal with Dexter Lawrence. I'm sure they want to do a long-term deal with Andrew Thomas. So, it's the NFL salary cap is so weird. I mean, it's not as weird as the NHL salary cap, as I found out at the NHL trade deadline, the way that you can maneuver players off your roster and get cap savings. I was like, wow, you can't do that in the NFL and the NBA, as far as I know. So
no, you can't.
But one thing that really
NBA a little bit, but not the way you think.
Yeah, but one thing that really kind of shocks me is all this backlash to the Daniel Jones deal. And it's like, especially when it's coming from guys who are current or former players who should be happy that guys are getting paid, quite frankly. Robert Griffin the third, who supposedly gets paid to be an NFL analyst now, right? Isn't he working for ESPN?
I think so, yeah.
He tweeted out a side-by-side of Lamar and Daniel Jones, and it's pretty ugly, in terms of record, age, MVPs, and total touchdowns, both passing and rushing. And he said, he said, if teams don't want Lamar, why were the Giants afraid they'd want Daniel Jones? Well,
it's a bad comparison.
As we've seen with the contracts that the Saints gave to Derek Carr and the Seahawks gave to Geno Smith, somebody would have given Daniel Jones money. May not have been like 40 million average, which, that's just, I think, that's just, an average. That's not what the way his cap hits are working out, as I'll get to in a second. But that's not the reason why teams are shying away from Lamar. It's because he's got a severe injury history, which Daniel Jones has had some injuries, but not to the extent that Lamar has. And you think somebody whose career literally was wrecked by a fucking knee injury like Robert Griffin would maybe understand that. And if he doesn't, he shouldn't be getting paid money to be a fucking NFL analyst. But 2, Lamar wants a fully guaranteed deal of like $200 million.
Mm-hmm.
That's why nobody wants to sign Lamar or trade for Lamar right now, because he ain't budging off those demands, and that's fine.
Yep.
Nobody's gotten that much money guaranteed ever. Is Lamar the guy who should be setting that standard? I don't know.
Well,
but
as long as it doesn't turn into a racial thing, like, that's why he's not getting it. Well, and I only say that because
if that enters into it in any way, then people should be fucking ashamed. Absolutely.
Right. And the only reason I say that is because of the stupid ass comment that Shannon Sharp made about the freaking NBA MVP candidates.
Well, here's why Lamar wants that $200 million plus guaranteed is because Cleveland gave Deshaun $230 million guaranteed.
Is all of that guaranteed that Cleveland gave Watson?
$230 million fully guaranteed contract.
Yeah. See, okay. So
that's why I made earlier. Cleveland fucked the quarterback market by giving Deshaun that contract.
Absolutely.
The one thing about Deshaun
Watson.
The thing
about it is,
go ahead.
What gets me mad about some of the analysts and the comparisons, they keep, and I don't know if they're doing it on purpose or they're doing it like comparing Lamar to all the white quarterbacks, like Joe Burrow and stuff. Like, stop. Like, if you want to compare anything, you compare the ridiculous contract that Cleveland fucked up and gave to Deshaun Watson and compare his contract, his stats to fucking Lamar. And yes, Lamar definitely would deserve that contract that Cleveland gave. Deshaun does not deserve that contract. It's a 5-year, fully guaranteed $230 million contract, including $44.965 million in signing bonuses.
Yeah.
With an annual salary of $46 million a year.
And I don't think it's outrageous to say, hey, Joe Burrow's a better passer than Lamar Jackson. Now, does that mean he's a better overall? Does that mean he's the better overall quarterback? No, not necessarily. Obviously, there's a huge component to Lamar's game with the running. But, I mean, Burrow is going to be the one who's going to throw the ball 50 yards down the field if you need him to. So I don't know if Lamar still is. So let's not forget. I mean, again, I know he's won an MVP and everything, but stuff like that can be fleeting and stuff. I mean, you know, when you start getting injured, look at Cam Newton. But it's not. We're still not that far removed from everybody questioning if Lamar Jackson should be taken in the first round of the draft. So, you know, it's not like he's some perfect, you know.
No, and let's be honest, Lamar Jackson's been figured out. The teams that are playing the Ravens and playing Lamar Jackson, you know, at that quarterback position, they've figured out how to play him that they minimize his the damage that he can do.
Yeah,
with his dual ability.
And Baltimore is another team. And you know what? It's funny. Like, I know there was that last week where the GM or somebody made comments about the wide receivers on Baltimore, and one of the Ravens wide receivers took offense to that. But honestly, you look at, they've drafted the most wide receivers since Lamar's been there. I think someone pulled a stat up, and now their wide receivers have done little to help Lamar Jackson. So, like, their wide receiver,
they've always had a wide receiver problem there.
Yeah, because especially after Steve Smith left. So yeah, Lamar's never had great wide receivers. He's had a good couple, you know, Mark Andrews tight end and stuff, and they've had some good running backs, but nothing spectacular. You know, they've kind of like picked off, you know, running backs who were, you know, scraps from other teams and kind of made, you know, dual backfields to kind of make it work. But he's never had that type of great offensive weapons either.
Yeah. And let's be honest,
Baltimore's done a bad job of helping him in that manner. He's done a lot by himself.
And let's be honest, he's not Pat Mahomes either. And they don't have Big Red there coaching either. So
I'm not saying Harbaugh's a bad coach, but you know, he's also not I don't consider him a top 5 coach, or maybe not even a top 10 coach. I'd have to look at that.
Well, let me just throw this out at you too. This is team record since 2008. Okay. So that's 15 seasons now. 11-5, 9-7, 12-4, 12-4, 10-6 with a Super Bowl win. 8-8, 10-6, 5-11, 8-8, 9-7, 10-6, 14-2, 11-5, 8-9, 10-7. Those are the Ravens team records by year since 2008. 2 losing seasons, 1 500 season, all the rest winning seasons. The point I'm making there is you don't get results like that are that consistently positive unless you have some kind of idea of how you're running your fucking organization. And a big part of that is how you're allocating your resources, how you're spending the money, how you're, playing with the salary cap and everything. So you can't really, I don't think it's fair to question the Ravens' motives from a financial aspect. I'm sure they want to keep Lamar Jackson, but they want to keep him at the number that they feel is right, especially, again, considering the fact that he has injury concerns now and that his effectiveness the last year or so hasn't been as good. So,
yeah. And that's why it's called business negotiations.
So when Robert Griffin III lists out that Lamar is a unanimous MVP, has led the NFL in passing touchdowns, is 26 and 45 and 16 as a starter, and all the QB needy teams are saying they aren't interested, don't smell right to me, you're leaving out some very important context from that, unfortunately. If people were saying we're not interested in Lamar Jackson, period, that would be one thing. But nobody I've really heard is accurately saying that. And I think anybody who's saying they're saying that is making that up. I think what people are saying is
idiots.
We're not interested in giving Lamar Jackson a 5-year, $200 million fully guaranteed contract, right? And it's because there's a couple red flags that have popped up. So just to kind of continue this about Daniel Jones then, here are Jones's cap numbers over the 4 years of his deal. $19 million in 2023, $45 million in 2024. But I read that the cap itself, the NFL salary cap in 2024, is expected to increase by about $32 million. So that's bigger than the difference between his 2023 and 2024 cap numbers too. And I'm sure the Giants are well aware of that, 2025, $39.5 million, 2026, $56.5 million. So that's a huge number, of course. But there is no guaranteed money in the last 2 years of his deal. They could release him before the 2025 season and be stuck with an $18 million dead cap money, but only $18 million, for getting out of the 2 years of the deal. So if he regresses or doesn't progress and the team, say, falls flat on their face and then is in a position in 2 years to draft whoever the next great quarterback coming out of college is, then they can do it without huge cap problems.
Correct.
So I think the deal works out very well for him. Obviously, he's getting paid. And I think the deal works out fairly well for the team, all things considered. So once again, people whining about his contract from the outside, I think, are missing some aspects of it. Is there risk involved with it? Duh. There's risk anytime you give somebody in this game that big of a contract. But I think it works out pretty well, again, for both the player and the team. So I'm satisfied with it. And again, I feel like the fact that he's going to actually have consistent coaching again. We think the Giant coaches are good. I mean, they took a team that I didn't expect to win more than 5 games to the playoffs and won a playoff game on the road, which really can't be discounted. Yes, they got smacked by the Eagles, but what the fuck else is new? So I look at it positively that, they hopefully improve the offensive line, hopefully improve at receiver. He has another year with Dable and Kafka that he can just improve. And that Barkley, of course, obviously stays healthy because that part of it really can't be overlooked in my view. And that was the other thing about this I think people are forgetting too. People want to say, oh, the reason why the Giants succeeded was because of Saquon. Yeah, and one of the things that signing Jones to this deal allows them to do is keep Saquon because they were able to use the franchise tag on him instead of on Jones. So that's a big part of it too. So right now, I think it's great for the Giants. So I'm not fretting the money because it ain't my fucking money. Anybody who whines about how much money a pro athlete's getting paid really in a lot of ways needs to shut the fuck up. So obviously, is it unfair that they get paid this much money for playing a game? Yeah, but look how much money that game produces for a shit ton of people, okay? And the ones that are still making the most money off of that are the rich fucks that own the fucking team. So once again, you're going to be jealous of the player and not the owner. You're directing your anger in the wrong spot. So again, I like it. I think it's good. When I see what bothers me more about Robert Griffin, I'll try to end this now. I'm sorry, Darren. What bothers me more about people who aren't in the game anymore, like
I'm thinking something.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, what bothers me more than people who are now not active players but like Robert Griffin tweeting what he does when it's stripped out of context. I mean, again, he is getting paid to be an analyst. He can make he can have his opinion, express it. That's what he's paid to do. I can also say, well, it's wrong or it's leaving out important information. But when I see current players tweeting shit out about it's ridiculous that this guy got this much money, I'm going to contend that those people need to shut the fuck up. And I'm directing that at two former Penn State players in particular who had comments about Daniel Jones. One is Micah Parsons. The other one is Jaquan Brisker. You know, both guys that I should root for, but unfortunately Micah Parsons now plays for the Cowboys, so as my dad would say, he is the enemy. And Jaquan Brisker plays for Joe's Chicago Bears. And it's funny because last time I remember, and, you know, probably soon to be former Giants receiver Darius Slayton tweeted this out at Jaquan Brisker, calling the Daniel Jones deal trash. Darius Slayton just texted a picture of the box score from the Giants Bears game this past year, you know, when the Giants, you know, beat the Bears. And Jaquan Brisker, he may think that he's hot shit because he got a sack of Daniel Jones in that game. You know what else happened to Jaquan Brisker in that game? Well, there was this screen pass to Saquon Barkley where he totally reversed field and, like, you know, because it wasn't working on the one side, ran all the way to the other side. And do you know what happened when he ran to the other side? One of the reasons he broke that play for a big gain, it's because Daniel Jones blocked Jaquan Brisker out of the play.
Yep.
So, hey, Jaquan, you got your ass blocked by the fucking quarterback. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Earn your own fucking money. Worry about your own fucking team. Don't worry about what that guy just got paid. Jesus Christ. You guys should be celebrating when your fellow players get big fucking contracts because it means that you can get a big fucking contract somewhere down the road. People are idiots sometimes. So
yeah. So I got, you know, we love our good friend Shannon Sharp. You know, when he starts talking basketball.
Well, I mean, if you can call that talking.
So he's gotten a lot of backlash recently because pretty much everybody and anybody is calling him a racist now because of the ridiculous statement that he made saying that Jokic's numbers are being padded this year. And that he shouldn't even be in the MVP race because, you know, he's not a leading scorer in the NBA, and that the MVP title normally goes to somebody who's like in the top 5 of scoring, which is not true. Now, I couldn't figure out the wording to use to try and to pull up like a stat that shows the top, you know, 5 leading scorers for each season, or even the top 10 scorers for each season. So I couldn't figure out the wording, so I was having a little bit of trouble with that. But I know if we go back in our history, and I was listening to some other people talk about this, Magic Johnson has won the MVP multiple times, and there was at least, I think they said 2 times where he was not the top 10 scorer in the league and still won the MVP. The MVP,
he did other shit too.
Yeah. So the MVP is the most valuable player, not the highest scoring player. They have a fucking scoring title for that, and that's why it's called the scoring title. That goes to the best scorer in the NBA, not the MVP award. The MVP goes to the person that's the most valuable player to their team, which means if it wasn't for that player, they wouldn't have won fucking games.
Wait. To whom does the highest scoring award go?
The scoring title.
Right. And that goes to, who is it again? The person who scores the most points? Is that what you said?
Yeah, the most points, averages
per
the
game.
Most points in a season.
Yeah, I feel like that's important context that somebody should know.
Yeah.
So, Jokic.
Like, oh, you mean you're talking about Kendrick Perkins? Should know that.
Yeah, I'm just pointing out. Yeah,
yeah. No, yeah. I know, and it's the thing that has made a lot of people upset, and it doesn't make me upset. I could care less. It annoys me because he's leaving out details of how the MVP is determined. He's turning it the way he made it sound. I don't know if this was an intention, but the way he made it sound is
because he wants fucking LeBron to win the MVP every
right.
goddamn year. That's why
he made it sound like the white players are winning the MVP award. Okay, so I mean, granted, that would be
European players.
Yeah. Now, granted, that would be an interesting way to approach it if that was true. Jokic did win it 2 years in a row, which I think is kind of crazy, and he's leading the charge for a third year in a row. But before him was twice Giannis, okay, in 19 and 20, Harden in 18, Westbrook in 17, Curry back-to-back in 15 and 16, Durant in 14, LeBron back-to-back 12 and 13, and the list goes on and on. You have to go all the way back to 2017 when Dirk Nowitzki won it.
2007.
2007, yes. In 2007, that was the last time, if Kendrick Perkins' logic is correct, that was the last time
and that white guy was European too.
Yeah, and Steve Nash won it back-to-back, and one of those we all know is controversial MVP too, with Steve Nash winning back-to-back. So
and then
his logic, if that's the route he was trying to go, is so freaking flawed, it's ridiculous.
Right, and then so Dirk, so like you said, Jokic, whatever the fuck his name is pronounced.
Jokic.
Like you said, one of the last 2 years. Then you got to go back to Dirk 07, Nash 06, Nash 05. And then the last white guy to win it prior to Nash was Larry Bird in 1986.
Yeah. So it's just an interesting way that he kind of tried to put this
Nash is white. Knock it off.
It was an interesting take that he had on it to try and frame it, because JJ Redick was even in there. He's like, you know what you said, you know what you implied. Like JJ Redick was going off, and that was the one. Like that's one of the only times that I will actually agree with JJ Redick, because his take is sometimes a little off balance too.
JJ Redick's been giving it to people lately, though. He's definitely not holding back with his opinions and some of the shit people say. So I give him credit for that.
Yeah, I can maybe understand where Perkins is coming from, saying that the voters of these awards have inherent biases that they may not even really be consciously aware of, and it affects the way they vote. So that if there's a white guy who's having a really good season, they'll just instinctively vote for him over black guys. And maybe, who knows, there could be some truth to that. But if there was, then wouldn't Dirk have won more than one MVP?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And here's the thing.
When have they found other white guys to vote for in the last 30 fucking years?
Currently, and I don't know how. I have to take a look at when this was last updated. 10th. So just yesterday. This article was from yesterday. It's talking about the MVP race currently.
Steve Nash is fucking Canadian, okay? He was born in South Africa, so get it straight.
So as of yesterday, the stats for Jokic, he is currently, his stats, just the three main stats that most people look at: points per game 24.3, rebounds per game 11.8, assists per game 10. He is averaging a goddamn triple double. How is that not a valuable player to a freaking team in the NBA?
Well, he's also shooting 62.9% from the floor, 52.6. No, I'm sorry, that's last 10. Hold on. 62.9% from the floor, 41.1% on threes for a center. I don't know how many he takes. 81% from the free throw line. I mean, let's not forget that when Westbrook won in 2017, he won because he averaged a triple double.
Pretty much.
He shot 42.5% that year.
Yeah.
Jokic is only 19th in scoring. So I think that's like Shannon was trying to you're going to have someone who's 24, like 19th in scoring. Yeah, but he's in the top 5 for rebounds and assists.
But
he's averaging a triple-double.
I'm just going to assume that Westbrook's 42.5% field goal percentage has got to be one of the lowest all-time field goal percentages from an MVP winner.
From 2-point land? Yeah.
Well, total field goal percentage. So that
Overall, well, you got to remember that he's probably was shooting like 30-some% from 3 and probably close to 50% from the rest of the field. Well, so that damages his.
Yeah, on this list that I got from ESPN, the other low field goal percentages I see from MVP winners, Harden in 2018 was 44.9. Rose in 11 was 44.5. Kobe in 08 was 45.9. Oh, Iverson back in 01 was 42.0. And then actually MJ only shot 46.5 in 98. but everything else was at least like 480 or higher. And of course, a lot of these guys are power forwards and centers who generally have higher field goal percentages.
Yeah.
But even so 42.5 is kind of low. Yeah.
Thanks for chiming in, Kevin. He says JJ Redick is the Adam Pearce of ESPN. Boss mode.
That is funny. It's a good analogy there.
Well, Adam Pearce is the boss. So
it's just interesting. You know, we usually don't have anything good to say about Shannon Sharpe and his takes on pretty much anything because he just and Skip Bayless is just as bad. I don't know. I can't believe that show is still on the air with those two goons.
It's because of the controversy. They've
yeah, I was going to say obviously it's still on the air because people watch it. I can't believe that people watch it.
And I've said this before. Like Skip is going to be Skip. He's no matter who he's with, he's gonna say shit that's gonna piss people off. And I feel like Shannon has just fallen into the same trap as far as shit like that, saying shit that's controversial and making comments of that nature, all that shit. He's fallen into that trap, and it's pretty obvious. And it's weird. Like I've said before, like I've watched his show. He does good interviews with athletes that he has on there, but then all of a sudden he does this shit with Skip and shit on social media, and it's like two different people. So
or the shit that he does at the Lakers games is like
there's no reason for that.
It's like he's got his two personalities. He's got his personality for his own stuff, and then he's got a second personality he turns into just for controversial
for shows. Like he rips on fucking Skip Bayless for saying shit, but then you're no better because you do the same goddamn shit. Like you've fallen into that fucking rabbit hole too.
Yeah, so. Skip Bayless. I mean, Skip Bayless loves to dog on LeBron, which I get because loves Jordan, but he doesn't take a step back and just be like, okay, you're right. You make a very good point. That's very true. He's always got to say something derogatory or, to the other degree that, freaking pisses Shannon Sharpe off. It's my God. It would be like if our friend AJ had a talk show on TV and brought on guests that he could just argue with every single day.
Well, I mean, I was also going to say, Skip is pretty much, Skip's whole career, well, not his whole career.
Clickbait, yes, Shane. That's all it is.
But a lot of Skip's career over the last decade or so has just been LeBron sucks. Everybody else is better than LeBron. LeBron's teams win because of everybody but LeBron, which maybe you can argue for now, but I don't really think you could argue for. And again, he still thinks that the reason why the Cavs won the finals they did was solely because of Kyrie and not at all because of LeBron. And I still just disagree with that. And it's not just because
I completely disagree with that.
And it's not just because I hate Kyrie because he went to Duke and because he's an idiot of the nth degree and every other thing like that. It's not solely because of that.
If Kyrie wasn't there, that Cavs team probably doesn't win. But that was a piece of the puzzle that needed to be there. Just like LeBron, if LeBron's not there, they don't win either. Like those two pieces needed to be there for the Cavs to win. It was the pieces of the puzzle that were there. And
that's why it's called a team sport.
Yeah. Not the LeBron team. LeBron plus the rest of the schmoes on the sideline. He can't cover all five positions at all times. Right now he can't cover his own position half of the time.
Well, that's because
that was an interesting celebration there, kid.
That's because he's become David Ortiz.
Management during the game.
No. He whines whenever a call doesn't go his way.
Yes.
So in the baseball classic, it's the top of the seventh, and Knowles, a young guy from the Great Britain team, just got a triple, and then he decided to do the cup of tea celebration. Did this, and it was like,
wait. Did he do it
with the pinky.
With the pinky up in the air, because if he didn't do it with the pinky up in the air, then he failed.
It wasn't completely up in the air, but it was out there. But he did this little thing like where he. And I was like,
maybe he's putting the sugar in.
Great Britain. I mean, a couple, scoops of some square sugar. Is what it is. No shade, not Beyonce Knowles, but
I have a response.
Maybe it's her second cousin. I don't know, but
no, I gave him a response for that.
Oh. No, Harry Knowles. I see it now.
Harry, where have you gone, Knowles? Oh, that's right. We know where he went.
Oof, that was close.
Do you remember who Harry Knowles is, Jeremy?
No, can't say I do.
He's the guy who founded Ain't It Cool News, which kind of like revolutionized the whole, like movie spoiler genre on the internet and everything.
Okay.
Backstage information. And a few years ago, he was one of the people who got caught up in a myriad of allegations that he was abusive towards women and shit. So
fantastic, good guy.
So I guess you could say he was canceled. His site still exists as far as I know, but I don't know what role he still plays with it.
Well,
that was close.
Whatever happened to him could have been just wonderful stuff as long as it was,
Yeah, well, there's a guy who I used to work with at T-Mobile who knew Harry Knowles a little bit, and he basically said that he was a piece of shit. So
yeah, no, anybody that does the kind of stuff that some of these people we found out about done, they're shit bags. So
absolutely, and the reason why he was saying he was a piece of shit didn't have anything to do with his attitude towards women. So
it was just him in general.
Did you gentlemen watch the second episode of Mandalorian? Because
I didn't watch either yet.
I
didn't watch either yet.
Last week,
I know
somebody had
farging up
the first episode, so.
No, I don't know. Like, I'm scared to go watch it. I'm like, if I'm gonna watch it, I'm like, I'm gonna be disappointed, and I don't want to be disappointed.
God damn it, Jeremy! You know what? I'm working 6 days a week right now. I'm working extra hours, and I find the time to watch. Oh, I don't have kids. That's right.
Yeah, if my son's in the house and the TV's on, I can guarantee you some crappy YouTube things on that I'm like, oh my god,
listen,
the hell is he watching?
You gotta be like, son, we were sitting down and watching the first 2 episodes of Mandalorian. That's it. Enough said.
Shane said he's stepping away because we're talking about Star Treks. The heck is Star Treks? We're not going to talk about freaking Star Trek. That show was lame.
I think Star Treks is what people who hate both Star Wars and Star Trek call both.
Oh, okay, well, that's his loss. Star Trek's awesome.
That's a yeah. I could be wrong.
Yeah, Star Trek sucked. It's never Star Trek. But anyways, yeah, I do want to sit down and watch it. I've just been reluctant. I don't know why. I've just been reluctant to watch it. So
don't be reluctant.
Well, I mean, all I can say too is like if you're hearing any negative reaction to the first 2 episodes or the first episode, okay.
I haven't.
Okay. I was just gonna say I think I was hearing some backlash, but I'm like, the first episode,
so
it was a little short. It was a little slower moving. It was like, yeah, they're introducing you back into the world and everything again. You got to remember, it has been over 2 years since the last new episode of this show. Not counting the half season that we saw during Book of Boba Fett. So even that was over a year ago now too. So
yeah.
Yeah. It's a serialized story. You got to lay the foundation. You can't have 5 major set pieces in the first fucking episode, for Christ's sake. So I mean,
the coolest thing about episode 1, Jeremy, is if you watch Star Wars Rebels, right? The animated show.
Yeah.
The last season, towards the end of the season, when you watch the first episode of The Mandalorian, pay attention to Grogu in the ship when they're in hyperspace, because they throw a go shout out to Star Wars Rebels, and I thought it was awesome.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to pay close attention then, because those are the kind of things that I miss.
Yes, when they show that scene and like Grogu's like stared into outer space because he gives them like a little speech, but then I'm like looking in the hyperspace, I'm like, oh shit, there they are. I'm like, that's fucking dope. And I'm like, okay, cool. Cool. So maybe we'll see them later on in the season. Maybe not, but it might be foreshadowing for the other show that's coming out. So
I'm going to say that would be something that would foreshadow something that I don't expect to see in The Mandalorian, but something that I would expect to see in Ahsoka. Yeah, because Ezra Bridger is going to be in Ahsoka. So yeah.
It's cool though. It's cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go watch it. Try and watch an episode while my son's playing with his friends. That's what I'll try and do. That's the time I got to take advantage. But that usually becomes like housework time. Like when the kid's playing with his friends, that becomes my housework time, which means I'm not sitting down doing anything.
Listen, after this show tonight, you're going to watch episode 1.
Hell no. I'm losing an hour of sleep. It's already 12:30.
Listen, you know what's funny? I'm so super stoked to lose an hour of sleep. It's not even funny. Because you know why? Because the sun shines brighter longer in the day. And that's always a good thing.
Yeah, I've always liked when the sun stays.
I agree.
I
don't like losing the hour of sleep, but my sleep patterns are bullshit.
I won't even notice that hour of sleep. To be honest, I never noticed the hour falling back or jumping ahead. I never noticed it because
falling back does affect me for about a good couple days. Going forward never bothers me. Never does. I just like the fact, like, depending on where you live in the United States and the way the sun travels around the earth travels around the sun, whatever, as it rotates, blah, blah, blah.
We're getting into some science, people.
I know. It's pretty cool. Like, there's sometimes during the summer where I'm sitting on the back porch and it's like 9:00 at night and the sun's still fucking shining. It's like pretty interesting. I like that stuff.
Yep. All right. I'll be back in just a moment.
Well, we have a lot of people coming and going on this show.
Yeah, it was.
And I'm not sure how much the coming is.
I also just wanted to say real quick when I was mentioning the potential names listed for the WWE Hall of
Go ahead.
There wasn't. I think AJ mentioned it too, but it said there is a possibility that they could induct the Great Muta as well, which I think would be pretty cool.
I think it's deserving, to be honest.
It definitely, I think it definitely is. Of course, it would also be interesting because he never actually, worked for. I don't know that he ever actually wrestled a match for WWE. But of course they put.
He wrestled. He wrestled old WWE wrestlers when they used to go to Japan. So
and it's like they put Jushin Liger in a few years ago, and of course, other than I know he did that one NXT thing, but his work in America was usually just with WCW, and he had obviously great matches in WCW, particularly with Pillman. And of course, they also put in Antonio Inoki and Tatsumi Fujinami, and I don't know how much they ever actually worked for WWE. So again, I would have absolutely no problem if they put Muta in.
And Muta's super deserving. So
he feels like the next big, like the next biggest Japanese wrestler from the general time frame of not now, I guess, like that's not in it, maybe except for and of guys who did actually like work for like the American promotions, because like Fujinami and Liger did work for American promotions at time. Like I was going to throw like Tiger Mask or Misawa in there because I don't know if they ever worked for any American promotions. So
maybe and that'll be the route that WWE goes a little bit here is, they won't say it's their, they could label international wrestling division, but I think them recognizing the guys that came over here and did work, whether it was with WCW or WWE at any point in time, and contributed to the overall expansion of just wrestling in general is a good way to go and expand your, wrestling Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and I have no problem with that. And it's like it's also how I wouldn't have a problem if they, kind of reinstituted, if you will, the Legacy Hall of Fame, which they didn't really do anything with last year. I'm not sure about the year before now. Which has always generally been people from like what you would call the ancient past of wrestling history. Like the pre-TV era in a lot of instances, or at least the pre-cable era. to induct people like that, I've absolutely had no problem with that. Though, of course, some of the people they put in the Legacy Hall of Fame were people who competed in the TV era but were passed away, like Dr. Death and Bruiser Brody and Walker McDaniel and Luna, which still don't really understand why they put Luna in the Legacy Hall of Fame. I feel like they could have put her in the regular Hall of Fame, but with people who are, they don't like having a lot of posthumous people in the regular Hall of Fame. Like they put Vader in posthumously last year, but Vader at least was one of the few people that's gone in posthumously that they could say didn't die unnaturally, like so many people have. Like some other like posthumous inductees from recent year were like the British Bulldog, who of course died way before his time, and China likewise, and Rick Rude, and they were all guys who died before their time for various reasons. So and it's like not that I ever expected to put him in anyway, because it seems like he was also kind of a fairly horrible person who nobody really liked. But I remember Bruce Pritchard said that they were never going to induct the Dynamite Kid while he was still alive, because Vince wouldn't want somebody in a wheelchair up there, which of course be the interesting thing about them inducting Lex Luger, because as far as I know, he's still in a wheelchair, probably will be for the rest of his life. So
well,
that's going to be the depressing thing if they induct Luger, is a guy who of course had one of the best physiques in the entire history of the sport, and then
not anymore.
Seeing him confined to a wheelchair and everything is kind of depressing, but it happened. It was a freak thing. You had a stroke, so it was like, yeah. So, but anyway.
Yeah. You look like you're going to say something, Joe. What you got to say?
No, I was just double checking some NBA stats here. That's all.
Oh, okay.
I was wondering if Joe was going to regale us with his take on his team trading away the number 1 overall draft pick.
Well, we did talk about. We talked about that already. Sorry, sir. You missed that.
I missed that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you missed that part.
I think it's a good trade for both teams, quite frankly. I'll just throw this out there real quick, because Carolina is obviously in the middle of a massive rebuild. They don't have to rush whatever guy they draft, and they're obviously going to. They always also now that they know they're picking number 1, they can take all the time they need in between now and draft day to figure out which one is the one they want. There's 4 real possibilities, I guess. Young, Stroud, Richardson, and Levis, but because they have to nail it, So
they do.
So they should take all the time. But again, they also don't have to worry about throwing whoever they draft out there right away. They know they're going to suck next year.
Oh yeah.
There's really no pressure on them as far as get to the playoffs this year or even really be competent. So, and the Bears obviously are still rebuilding, but they have the most important component, we assume. I mean,
quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, I still can't believe how many people are out there saying they should trade Fields and draft a new quarterback. I'm like,
I think Fields has done very well. I think he's done well with what he has.
Right. I'm like, I don't understand why you would abandon this guy already, especially when you gave up a number 1 pick to get him.
No, you got to do like the Giants were doing. Get rid of your coaches and keep the players. See if the coaches can change the.
I mean, listen, the other too, this year was his 3rd year in a row playing for a different offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
He goes from college to the Matt Nagy shit to, the Eberflus, era. So, and he played well with what he had. And yes, he had to run more than he wanted to, but, he showed improvement. You just got to take the next steps next year. And, I think DJ Moore is a good 25-year-old wide receiver. So, I mean, they pulled up the stats for like between DJ Moore, Claypool, Mooney, Kmet. They're all 25 and under. They're all either 24 or 25. So his receiving core is like super young, so that's good, and they're just going to have to keep, making improvements. I kept hearing all the stuff about trading him. I'm like, Jesus Christ, that just asinine shit, oh, well, they didn't draft him. They didn't draft him. Like, who gives a fuck? The kid went out there and wants to be the number one. He wants to be the leader. He's telling you he wants to do this and he's showing you. You don't just fucking just trade a kid like that. That's just, I would have lost my shit if my team would have done that. It would have been like,
it's the way a lot of people think, though. Oh man, you've had 3 years. You're not doing anything. Get rid of them.
You know what's so bad these days too? Is the fucking rookie contracts. Oh, well, trade him. You could reset the rookie contract with Bryce Young and blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, that's not what this team needs to do. Like, no, that's another asinine fucking comment.
That's
that's
too much running the sport like a business right there.
Yeah. I was like, come on, man. I get where you're coming from, but this team is not in that position where they should be doing shit like that. So listen, like I said, Pat, we're going to have a top 10 pick next year. And then hopefully the Bears improve. So we're, our own pick is somewhere like 18 and, towards the end of the draft. I'm not saying we're going to the Super Bowl, but, it's not in the, it's not in the top 15, it's outside the top 15 is what I'm looking for. Like you said, I mean, there's a very real possibility that pick they're going to get from the Panthers won't just be top 10, but it could be top 5. So, oh yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm not sure. Just looking at it right now, I'm not sure if I can think of more than 5 teams who are going to be. I mean, obviously, we still got free agency and the draft to go through, but a lot of teams you can kind of already start to assume who are going to be like the worst. And I'm not sure if there's 5 of the teams out there that I can think of right now that are definitely going to be worse than the Panthers next year. I mean, the Texans probably, like maybe the Colts, maybe the Packers if they should trade Aaron Rodgers. Who knows?
That's another thing too. I heard that's pretty much between Packers management and the Jets management. They're pretty much already the deal's done. It's just a matter if Aaron Rodgers wants to go to New York. Like, I don't think Packers really give 2 fucks what he does. They're like, if he wants to move on, they'll be happy to trade him. They'll go to Jordan Love at this point.
Yeah, it definitely sounds that way. And I get it. He's a hard son of a bitch to deal with, apparently. So,
So with Rodgers, like we've experienced a lot in our years of watching football and hearing about trades and stuff like that and contract negotiations. I have yet to encounter until Rodgers somebody who is so much of, to use some old terminology, a prima donna about what they think they should do and thinks they have so much control over where they go, what they do, how they get paid, this, that, and the other thing, and demands that you get me people. And it's like,
well, I can think of somebody, and he's not that far away from Aaron Rodgers.
Who's that?
Brett Favre.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of the last guy I can remember really doing this stuff. There was all this stuff about was the guy he replaced, So
yeah,
but it's absolutely insane to me to think you're playing for a team and you're making demands about who they go out and get to play with you, and then when they do, they meet your demands, you shit the bed,
and you still don't produce the way you're supposed to.
Like, yeah.
Well, you're missing the how do I really put this? You're missing the bigger picture part of this here. They acquiesced to his demands, but they didn't give him what they wanted.
You kind of lost me.
They acquiesced to his demands, but they did not give him what he wanted. I'm saying that he keeps moving the goalposts.
Oh, okay. All right. Yes. True. I want Randall Cobb back. Okay, here's Randall Cobb. And he had...
I didn't want Randall Cobb this year. I wanted Randall Cobb 3 years ago.
And he gets rid of Davante Adams. Well, that should
happen, so he had Randall Cobb and Davante Adams at the same time, which is exactly what he wanted. And
turns out it wasn't what he wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now Randall Cobb's probably retiring or going to another team.
Randall Cobb's going to retire at this point. I think the biggest question too in the NFL is like, what's the cuts. I mean, Adam Thielen got cut by Minnesota. Robert Woods got cut, but I guess Robert Woods is now going to sign a contract with Houston. Okay, whatever. Which I find interesting.
Well, you know what,
because it's not tomorrow night yet.
Well, no. If you get cut, you can sign with anybody at any time. You know, it's not like your contract expired.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think Thielen was happy in Minnesota after the way things went last year in Minnesota. So I'm pretty sure he was probably happy to get cut.
He's going to attach on to a team like that is on the cusp of winning the Super Bowl. I could see him going to Buffalo, to be honest.
And frankly, I don't also blame we can mock Robert Woods for signing for the Texans of all people. But I also don't blame a guy like him who's been dinged up and bounced around a little bit, signing before everybody else is out there available to sign. Because otherwise you could get lost in the shuffle very easily. So,
yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of players. There's more players that keep getting cut. And those guys are going to be.
Oh yeah, it'll continue to happen too, of course. So
there's going to be some good players being cut. So they'll be picked up. Oh yes. Free agency will be fun.
Yeah, it's always interesting. As I told Joe, while you were away, the Eagles, Howie is very good with the free agencies, but he always seems to wait until the last minute to tell the fans essentially who they're getting, who's filling in these spots, and how did we do? How much money did we get them for? And like he waits till almost the deadline to like pull the trick, the bag of tricks out.
Well, I mean, he's under no obligation to report those things to the fans. So,
well, I know that, I understand that,
but
as a fan, you're like, "What the hell are you doing? Like, when are you going to make a move, man? When you get and there's the move, and you're like, oh my god, it was a really good move."
Well, stuff like that generally leaks out ahead of time anyway from the media. So,
yeah.
Well, an unconfirmed source.
Adam Schefter's always got some shit. Always got an Adam Schefter.
That's what I mean. I'm like, the news is, generally speaking, with any sport now, whenever there's transaction moves, whether it's free agency or trades, it's reported. It's always reported before it's officially announced.
Yeah.
So
no, very true.
I like listening right now. It's really funny to listen to all the freaking fans call into WIP in Philly and give their take on what the Eagles should do. Now, see, I personally,
there's nothing like fans with opinions.
I there are things I wish that they would do and I think might help, but all in all, I am not paid that kind of money. I don't have that kind of intelligence for football to say this is the best move, this is the right move. But some of these people really get on there like, no, they need to re-sign this guy. They need to let this guy go, free up that cap space, go out and get this. I'm like, if it was only that easy.
That's why you're sitting at home.
It's just those idiots running the team who know these things are always getting in the way.
Like I can only imagine if some of these people put together their own football team, their salary cap would be probably blown out the freaking water with.
See, that's just it. It's like
they have to be in baseball.
Put my team together on DraftKings and I'm good.
Yeah, every fan thinks, of course, that they can do this shit better than people actually do, and it's like, okay, you get in there and then you realize all the shit they actually have to do.
Yeah, it's more that goes into it.
So it just makes me laugh. Makes me laugh. It's good stuff.
Yep.
It's entertaining.
Absolutely.
Eventually I have to turn it off because I'm like, oh my God, if I have to listen to one more person tell me how they would draft or who they would draft or who they would get in free agency, I'm going to.
That's what, like when the Bears made
my head against
yesterday, I had to, like, I can only be on social media for so long because people are like trying to troll and being stupid and making dumb comments. And I'm like, you're a fucking idiot right now, but I'm just not going to entertain your stupidity right now and your ignorance. So I'm going to let these comments just roll on by and keep scrolling.
Yeah,
it's time to get off.
Yeah, that vague. I was getting into some discussions with people on some wrestling comment sections on Facebook this week. Unfortunately, somebody deleted the post, so I can't really refer back to it now. But I was being critical of some people on AEW because the post was about, look how good AEW is with some of these young building blocks they have on their roster. And they were talking about Hangman Page and Jungle Boy and Wardlow and Ricky Starks and a few other people. And I'm like, well, Page sucks. Jungle Boy can't talk. They've booked Starks and Wardlow like idiots half the time. Yeah. And I was at MJF, and I said, an MJF should bolt the first chance that he gets. And, you know, some of that discussion was there was some decent back and forth. Like, one guy asked me, like, so are you a fan of WWE or a fan of wrestling in general? And I said, well, really right now, neither. I said, I said, quite frankly, I watch out of habit, but I don't actually watch that much because I find all the shows to be abominable and not worth me sitting down on the couch for 2 or 3 hours straight to watch. There's other stuff I'd rather do. So that's why I just read the results. And this one guy was like, well, you should just watch the shows. And I'm like, okay, maybe you didn't understand me the first time. I can't watch the shows because the wrestling's de-emphasized, the pacing is atrocious, or I just flat out don't like the people that I see on screen. It's like, it's a combination of things. And then he still said, yeah, we should watch instead of read. It's like, look, I'm not foregoing watching the shows to read the results. I'm reading the results because I don't watch the shows. So maybe you forget that all these shows are live now. It's not like I'm spoiling myself by reading the results.
You're definitely not.
Spoiler alert. This happened yesterday.
Yeah, it's like last time I checked,
24 hours ago.
Raw, SmackDown, and Dynamite were all live. Rampage isn't, but I would never fucking watch Rampage. So, but yeah, and then when I was saying about MJF should bolt, one guy was like, oh, they would ruin MJF. I'm like, no, as long as MJF didn't cross the lines that you shouldn't cross, like saying fuck in your promos, like that one that you sent out. And you know,
that was off. That wasn't on the air though. That was.
It was off camera.
Yeah, he would get in trouble for that if he did.
Oh,
that
I know.
Shit.
Like, yeah,
he definitely would.
My point is that MJF,
oh, there's kids in the area. Kids out there.
My point is that MJF is good enough that he doesn't need to resort to the garbage Moxley bullshit to get over. He doesn't.
No,
he doesn't.
No, so he can be profane without using the profanity.
Yeah. So I said, so as long as he didn't cross the lines that he shouldn't cross, which basically means do what Moxley does these days, then WWE would get out of his way. They would not overly control him at least if they were really smart. We're gonna, yeah, I know. If you're going to believe that Vince is going to come back and be running creative again, then yeah, who the fuck knows? And if that does happen, then MJF probably should stay away, frankly. I mean, I'll amend my viewpoint then. But, well, and then one guy even actually said, when I said MJF should go, one guy actually said, where would he go?
Seriously? Where would he go? Where would he go? I don't know. New Japan. Where the fuck do you think he's going to go?
Your face froze, Joe. Oh, he's back.
Yeah, that was my internet.
You froze. What were you saying?
I just say, where the fuck do you think he's going to go?
I didn't even respond to the guy because I was like, look, I know that. Like,
he's going to go to Jupiter and wrestle for the Martian.
New Japan? He's going to go to Impact. He's going to get a big contract from them.
That's what it is. Like, I've decided to be judicious with the way that, like, you know, I respond to some of these people and everything. And because it's obvious that there's just some people you're never going to be able to, like, win arguments with. Or it's not even trying to win an argument here. This is obviously somebody we just can't have a logical discussion with. But yeah, it's like if I was going to respond to that guy, I was probably going to say something like, well, obviously he needs to go back to MLW. Where would he go? I mean, like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, he's going to go to Impact. You know, he's going to go to New Japan. I mean, well, actually, that could be viable, but yeah, where would he go?
That one could be viable. Yeah. That's funny, though.
It just goes to show you, like, in the wrestling world,
I don't care how much you think WWE sucks, but come on, obviously you would beat WWE just because of the money, you fucking Nimrod.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's just people in wrestling right now. It is very much there's not the I like all wrestling. It's like I like AEW or I like WWE. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very polarized right now in the wrestling community. We're kind of the minority that will watch both and make comments about both, good and bad. Usually more bad towards the WWE side, a little bit more good towards the AEW side, just depending on what's going on. But yeah, we're definitely the minority that watches kind of a little bit of all the wrestling. Yeah, and Joe definitely more than anybody with his snow in the background. It don't snow in North Carolina, okay? Occasionally, once in a while, and then everybody crashes into trees and shit. So, you know.
Shit, I can't remember what I was going to say now. Forget it.
That's all right. We didn't want to know anyway, so it's good.
Yeah, it was
the freak snowstorm in California almost killed everybody.
I mean, it was probably just echoing something that I probably have already said in a different way anyway. So
yeah, we all have a tendency to do that, say the same thing differently. Yeah. So, all right. We got anything else we want to talk about? Anything important?
No.
All right. Then I guess we should end the show. That way we don't sit here and try and make things up.
I mean,
why would you do such a thing?
Before midnight? Are you sure we're allowed to do that?
Yeah, it's like 6 more minutes.
I think it's okay. I think we'll all live. We're not like gremlins.
Well,
nothing bad will happen if we don't do something by a certain time.
Well, I mean, I would hope we're not gremlins, because that would be weird.
Super weird.
Be cool.
I'd rather be a vampire.
Hey, I just want to say this really quickly.
Okay.
Here we go.
Well, no.
It's going to find a way to take up to 6 minutes.
one thing I've become fascinated with lately is watching YouTube clips of people watching movies for the first time, especially if they're movies that I've seen, which, quite frankly, most of them are going to be, since I've seen over 6,300 movies in my life. But it's really entertaining to see somebody like react to a movie that I know well for the first time, because it's like, I feel like sometimes I consume movies. I don't really like enjoy them or watch them. You know what I mean? So to see somebody watching like the Star Wars movies for the first time and like having like honest, genuine reactions to them as they're going along, it's actually fairly entertaining. And, you know, kind of brings back the sense of wonder that movies are supposed to provide. So I find a lot of that fun too.
Okay. Let's see where you're going with that.
Yeah. So when you see people's like reactions to like twists, so like, you know, you see people reacting to, you know, No, I Am Your Father, or to when Verbal Kint is revealed as Kaiser Soze, or, you know, that kind of stuff. It's you know, to see like the genuine shock on people's faces.
Why am I Mr.
Really,
Pink?
It's really it's just really entertaining, because, you know, it's like, I really don't remember how I reacted the first time I watched Usual Suspects. I don't ever remember a time where I didn't know that Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father, you know. So like, even because I don't remember the first time I ever watched Empire Strikes Back, but I think I may have known that even before I watched Empire Strikes Back for the first time. So, you know, it's like it's just really cool. So, you know, if you ever want to check out videos like that, there's a whole bunch on YouTube, but they're all entertaining. So
I will look for it.
Yeah.
I need something to entertain my life during the day.
Talking about reacting to stuff. Now I got something. Now you got something in my brain. So I came across I came across the kids reacting to kids now. Like, these would be like kids around my oldest daughter's age, reacting to Limp Bizkit, hearing Limp Bizkit for the first time.
Wow, really?
Yeah. I was like, man, every song they played, I was like, damn, I remember when that first came out. Yep, that one too. Yep, that one too. That one, yep. And the one girl surprised the hell out of me. I would have never thought she would be, out of all the kids that they started playing the music for. I mean, there was one girl that I was like, yeah, this girl's not going to like pretty much any of these songs. And she was, she reminded me, how can I put this and not sound terrible? I can't. There's not a way I can do it and not sound terrible. So I'll just not say anything.
I was gonna say there is no.
Yeah, but one girl very much surprised me because I maybe some of the songs because of the way Limp Bizkit's songs were put together, maybe some of them, but definitely not all of them. And this girl fell in love with all of them. I was like, damn. I was like, cool, like because Limp Bizkit was new metal, whatever the hell that shit's supposed to be. I called it rap rock.
Yeah, and I can imagine, kids like you said, your daughter's age, like hearing Limp Bizkit for the first time. It's also similar to when I see people who are in their 20s or 30s listening to like Beatles music for the first time. It's like, a lot of them are amazingly like going like, oh my God, I didn't know it was this good and everything. So, but it's just like, again, it's just like the genuine reactions to it are always entertaining, whether they're good or bad, quite frankly.
And my daughter and my oldest, she grew up listening to all that because I listened to all that stuff. I listened to Beatles and Limp Bizkit and Eminem and Slipknot and all this kind of crazy music, and I played it all in the car. That was before kids started getting. She was like, all I said was to her, "Listen, I'm going to play music. If I hear a bad word, don't ever repeat it. Boom, put the songs on." Never complained a freaking day in her life about having to listen. Dad, can you change this? Now she does that. She's like, Dad, we play the same playlist all the time. I'm like, yeah, but I add new songs to it all the time, so it's not the same playlist anymore. But my other two,
very important qualifier.
But my other two, they love to be in the back seat. Dad, can you put this song on? Dad, can you put this song on? Dad, I don't like this song.
Eventually, it's gonna have to be like.
I have turned
to be like, put your headphones on and shut up.
I have literally yelled because I got so annoyed. I said, "Listen, this is not Daddy DJ. I'm putting the damn songs on, and you're listening to whatever the hell's on the damn radio, or whatever the hell I put on. Because I don't listen to the radio. I don't put the radio on unless I don't remember to plug in my phone. So yeah, I have to sometimes
just
pull out. This is not
Bing
Daddy
Crosby
DJ,
and just let it snow.
You should basically just be saying to them, "Hi, who's driving the car? Oh, me. Oh,
yeah." My wife hates that. I've done that. I was like, "This is Dad's car. Dad's in control of the radio. Quiet." And my wife just looks at me. I'm like,
I mean, that's always the way it was in my car.
Oh yeah, I didn't get to pick the damn radio station.
In our family car, it was what the parents wanted to listen to, whoever was driving. So
now, don't get me wrong. There was times I was like, "Can we put something else on?" And my dad was like, "Sure," and flipped to the country station. I'm like, "No."
Yeah,
jerk.
There was
B104 country, like son of a gun.
Yeah, there were times occasionally where I might say that, and then my dad would troll me and he'd put like his fucking like Civil War songs on tape, which got tiresome for me even. It's like I'm like, Dad, we're not going to the battlefield. I don't want to listen to the damn Civil War song.
You said something different. It's something different.
And I'm going to put classical music on now.
I feel like listening to, so it's like.
We do have to do another episode of music because I found some. See, I mean, and I feel bad because it's really not going to pertain to Pat so much because he's not the hip hop type of dude. But I found some stuff.
Dude.
I'll find some stuff for you, Pat. But I did find some interesting top 10 and top 25 lists in regards to hip hop and rap and things of that nature when it comes to albums and all that jazz. So, since on YouTube, it's still one of our biggest, highest viewed episodes when we talked about rap, we're going to swing back to the music genre.
Nice.
And go down that
road again. Can we roll Limp Bizkit into it? Because he was rapping in those songs. He really wasn't singing. Because he was rolling.
Well, it's that's I was going to say, but like
we should do a show about one-hit wonders. That would be spectacular.
Ooh,
the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, of course, has the definition of Rock and Roll Hall of Fame doesn't really fit anymore because some of the people they've inducted, which is fine. It's like they're more or less acknowledging that rock as a genre has waned a lot, and also they're just trying to be more expansive. But there really aren't any.
They should just call it the Music Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but it would be kind of. I think there already is one that's like that. So it's like changing the name would kind of be more disingenuous at this point. I feel like this year's list of inductees, though, there really aren't any rap artists, but there's at least one R&B artist, I guess, because Missy Elliott's nominated.
Missy Elliott's rap.
Do you consider rap? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't really sure because that rap R&B hip hop lines is like, again, sometimes it's like,
she would be like hip hop and hip hop.
Okay. Wait, I realized I lied. What would A Tribe Called Quest be really classified?
Oh yeah, they're hip hop for sure.
Okay, so the two of them, because the rest of the nominees are Kate Bush, Sheryl Crow, Iron Maiden, Joy Division, New Order, Cyndi Lauper, George Michael, Willie Nelson, and of course his country, Rage Against the Machine, Soundgarden, The Spinners, The White Stripes, and Warren Zevon. So
the White Stripes.
Soundgarden.
Yeah. Can you believe the White Stripes are eligible? It's been 25 years since their first album.
Oh,
I can't believe I mean, nothing against White Stripes. They just were not my music. Like, I was just.
Well, I completely can understand why they're nominated. Whether or not they get inducted, I mean, I'm sure eventually they probably will. Whether they get inducted this year is to be seen. The only
USA won.
The only nominee from that list that I really, really want to see get in is Soundgarden, because I'm a big Soundgarden fan. And then, of course, it's going to be. It's going to suck to watch the induction then, of course, since Chris Cornell's no longer with us. But the thing is, like I said, Willie Nelson's nominated because, Johnny Cash has been in for years, and then they put Dolly Parton in last year. I have a pretty good idea they'll put Willie Nelson in this year too, which I really don't have a problem with because I love Willie Nelson. So
Renegade Country.
Outlaw Country.
Outlaw Country. Sorry, Outlaw Country.
Yeah, the only thing that is like too is like, okay, you're going to put Willie Nelson in, you're also going to induct Waylon Jennings. It's like the problem is that Waylon Jennings has been dead for years, but it's like if you put Willie Nelson in, it's like you got to kind of almost have to put Waylon Jennings in too. And so but yeah, so
true.
But yeah, it's like so I kind of like how they've like expanded their definition. Of course, like Eminem was inducted last year, so it's been interesting the way that they've put like hip hop rap artists in, because Jay-Z's in, Tupac's in, Biggie's in, and years past they put in like Grandmaster Flash, Public Enemy, Run DMC, and NWA. So
All right, and on that note,
I'm done now. So
now we got done. It's 12:04, 12:05 now.
Yes, we made it past 12. Just exactly what Darth Pat wanted. You got to get ahead of the past.
My ulterior motive of extending the show past midnight works.
These sons of bitches.
So yes, we will end the show. I want to thank everybody who tuned in. We'll give a special shout out to Shane and a special shout out to Kevin because they joined us and chatted with us for a little bit.
Yes,
so we'll thank them personally for joining us today on this wonderful episode. What is this? Episode 5 of season 3?
6.
We're 6, episode 6 of season 3. We're gonna be friends. We're gonna get to 10 seasons, and then we're gonna call it quits.
I thought this was episode 3,487 of season 3.
Maybe, but anyways, no, it's definitely not even close. Maybe
remember, I'm an accountant, so counting is not my strong suit.
Yes, you use a calculator. We know.
Exactly.
So once again, we do thank you for joining us. If you catch us on any of the other media outlets, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. And as always, we hope you finished with us.